Getting a student's attention is not always that difficult. You play a quick video, show a picture, something that's relevant to the topic at hand and being discussed in the lecture, and you have everyone's attention in the classroom. Now, keeping their attention and getting them to participate in the lesson comes with its own difficulty. Adult learners in the settings such as a military base where I am have come from different levels of education and varying experiences. And due to these vast levels of education and experiences, finding a method to keep all the students engaged can be challenging. That's why game-based learning can be such a useful tool in a classroom. Not only does it encourage student participation, but depending on the tool, it allows students to give honest feedback without fear or reprisal or condemnation from their peers. By integrating game-based learning into a classroom, educators are capitalizing on the technology that everybody has at hand. Cell phones, for example. This is something that everybody has in their pocket and that we all carry around. But by using these, we're helping students to develop the necessary skills to be successful. Perini and others in 2018 discussed the cognitive constructivism associated with game-based learning and how it aims to help students understand and helps them to better retain information by using devices that they're familiar with. Disengagement is one of the most difficult obstacles to overcome in a classroom. And by integrating game-based learning through technological devices that everybody has, the curriculum and the lessons are not only physically engaging, but students are also becoming emotionally engaged and increasing their cooperation and their likelihood to succeed. By having more students engaged, especially in a setting with adults, teachers are able to engage with all of the students in different ways and shed light on specific needs and the individual students' weaknesses. Working with adult learners is different from the traditional secondary classroom education. While not everybody knows, well, I don't know what I don't know, adult learners are generally emotionally mature enough to acknowledge their lack of understanding and can take note of a topic or a subject that they are unfamiliar with. Ninas and others in 2019 really discussed the importance of emotional engagement for students and how that really is vital to their success. Now, technology has grown exponentially in the last few years, and the COVID-19 pandemic really forced educators to become more familiar with the educational tools available, such as cell phones and computers. Now, when mobile devices and game-based learning are integrated into educational practices, this results in student achievements that are great. Students' desire to learn, their overall interest in a subject increased significantly. Not only did Ninas mention the importance of emotional engagement, but emotional engagement associated with game-based learning in a classroom increases the student's likelihood to participate. In my own experience using Kahoot, for example, in a classroom with soldiers and other adult learners, students are not just physically participating using their cell phones to answer questions on a screen. They're emotionally engaged, playfully bantering with one another, trying to give each other a hard time and best one another with a higher score. With technological advances growing like they are, though, the educational possibilities of game-based learning are showing positive results, not just in my experience, but from different groups of students. Huizenga in 2019 discussed that by integrating technology and game-based learning into curriculum, students have immediate access to information and coursework in a manner that is not only tedious, nor is it monotonous, but is something that they enjoy doing. Now, while bringing a cell phone into a classroom comes with its own inherent risk, these devices are ways for students to become easily distracted or disengaged. And studies have shown that cell phones in classroom may have negative impacts through diminishing a student's ability to take notes and degrading their ability to pay attention, often disrupting students and other educators. And that's a study done by Carlins in 2021. Now, while these are concerns, it's not always the case, and it is the educator's sole responsibility to maintain responsibility in a classroom. So there is arguments out there that can be made for not having a device in the classroom. Now, while teaching adult learners and keeping them engaged in the classroom, I have found that Kahoot, quizzes, and Dante's online academic skills course to be some of the most beneficial programs for student engagement. All of these programs work well from a wireless platform, can be used in conjunction with a laptop, desktop computer, and a projector, or accessible from a cell phone. Now, during previous experiences, Kahoot has been a quick and easy access platform for students to use their cell phones with while I run that application on a computer and just project it up onto the screen. Now, here where I am, at least, connectivity does have an issue. Um, Internet blackout periods, limited broadband, but with enough preparation, programs such as this can be successful and are very beneficial in the classroom. Um, One of the other programs that I mentioned, Dante's OASC, or the Online Academy, is one of the best programs for the ASVAB courses that I teach. Though it does have some restrictions and is the most restricted of the three that I've mentioned, by far for the class and for the material that's being covered, this program is one of the most inclusive and one of the most broad spectrum. This program is free for Department of Defense employees and service members, which is fantastic. And then it also has multiple phases and multiple modules. So the modules are built around a pretest that is taken by the student. And then once that pretest is done, it builds different modules to reflect and reinforce the student's weaknesses. There's also an application on a cell phone that students can access from anywhere as long as they have a wireless connection. And it really capitalizes on the gamification aspect of what service members are seeing in uniform, winning awards, winning medals, and things like that, that are mimicking what you will see on a uniform to begin with. Now, while in the classroom, quizzes and Kahoot are some of the easiest and quickest ways to get the classroom engaged and cover a lot of material while also being able to tailor the material to an individual class. With a wide variety of educational experiences, language barriers, and things like that, I have found that math, reading comprehension, and word recognition are some of the most focused areas, and I can really tailor my lesson plan and the videos and the quizzes and the interactive capabilities of those, all while meeting the needs of the students. Like I said, these tools do have their limitation due to connectivity, but generally speaking, I have found that if I just bring an additional Wi-Fi hotspot into the classroom for the students to connect to, it does improve connectivity and operability. So, again, this also goes back to the gamification aspect and really capitalizes on that with a leaderboard and a scoreboard being posted after every question. Again, going back to the military competitiveness, there's a lot of playful banter back and forth between individuals in the classroom, and it's just, generally speaking, it's a ton of fun to watch. Now, like I said, there's a lot of students from a lot of different backgrounds, and every class is different. The strengths and weaknesses of students vary with every class that I teach, and depending on the units that are currently stationed here. I may have a class where the majority of students do not speak English as a first language. I've used quizzes and Kahoot to really capitalize on these groups, and it really gets these students to engage on word recognition and reading comprehension with great success. Unfortunately, even as an adult, some soldiers are embarrassed by not knowing a definition or being able to read and understand what the author is trying to say on a reading comprehension portion. And these programs really allow these students to engage with a level of anonymity and get answers wrong and it not be a big deal. As much of a tool and as helpful as it has been, it's important to remember that it's simply a tool. Not all students that speak another language benefit from game-based learning. There's interactive parts that can cause a student to experience a cognitive overload, and that's from Yang and others in 2018. And it's imperative that teachers remain the primary source of information dissemination in a classroom and do not rely on technologies to teach for them. While tools such as game-based learning are helpful, in-person teaching still stands as the most effective method for growth and information retention. An example of interactive capabilities and presentation of materials that I have provided is linked to this video. And it is a quizzes that I have made that allows the group to see the way I use these programs in my classroom. While using quizzes, I prefer to use it as a presentation method, and it allows me to show slides and use it almost like a slideshow with the information so that students can see and get the information while also incorporating additional questions into the slide deck to break up the monotony of just speaking at them or to them. This provides a check on learning approach as well, keeping students engaged and to ensure that they're paying attention. While I don't believe that students should be called out for not paying attention, the look on their faces usually gives you an idea, and you can tell who's paying attention and who's listening. And when you get to these questions, it will snap students back in place, and they'll say, well, got it, I need to come back. So again, there's a link to the quizzes that I have built in the study program. If you'd like to see that, you see how I kind of run my classroom and how things operate there. So thank you for your time, and I hope you have a blessed evening.